Oh my gosh, Jordan, the moment that my first daughter was born, I mean, it was so emotional. I started crying. I started crying with my wife. I started holding her. It's like, what the heck? I had a baby. I was a dad. I was a parent. That moment that we become parents, it just changes our life forever. It's such a big shock. And I'm sure for if you're listening to this, you said the same thing. I know you said the same thing I said. I know Jordan and his wife Danny said the same thing. They said, I'm going to be a great parent. I'm going to love you so much. My whole world is going to be about you, and I love you. And I want to be a great parent. And we just dedicate our lives and our hearts and our natural instincts to put everything around this baby, to love this baby. Jordan, you said all that, didn't you? Didn't you feel that way when you
I've
first
always
became?
had this like idea, probably since high school or college. I was like, I would look forward to the day that I could be a dad. I don't know why. I was just like, I want to be a family man. And then that came to reality. And I think those feelings were still there, but I was freaking out. I was like, I'm now
I
responsible for this thing. I don't even know how to do any of this. But deep down, yeah, I mean, you want to care for that thing. You want to make sure you do everything you can to raise it
mm,
right. You don't even know what that means. You're still trying to figure
mm-hmm.
yourself out. And so we give
Beautiful.
everything to our kids, and you really have to change your life in an instant. You know, you were going out partying, maybe
You
having a
do.
great time. You were single, maybe you just got
Yeah.
married, and now it's like, slow down, stay at home, try and sleep when you can, and
And
try
good
not to get
parents, they
cranky
show up.
because,
They show
yeah,
up. They really they go from their lives, they go to the 2 naps a day, the 3 naps a day. Good parents, they change their schedules, they accommodate their kids, they prioritize the baby, and it doesn't stop in the baby stage. Then they have toddlers, then they have elementary kids. So then they bring in the soccer, they bring in the dance, they bring in the cheer, they bring in the swim lessons, they bring in the kids' birthday parties, they bring in this, they bring in that. And good parents, you look at your phones and your life calendar is filled with your kids' activities because you're a good
yeah,
parent. You want to give your
right.
kids a great balanced life. You want them to get off screens and to live their lives and to make memories, and you sign them up for this and you sign them up for that. That's what good parents do, right, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, one of the theories that I had is like if I can keep them busy, there's
Yeah.
less likelihood that they're going to get in trouble, right? I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
their energy out so that
Yeah.
I can go to sleep at night and so they could go to sleep at night. So I'm trying to get them as many
Yeah.
activities as possible.
That sounds like the dad of twins right there. But yeah, for me, it's like, life is just meant to be living. I'm all for just having some nice chill time at home, but I want to live my life outside of the house. I want my kids to live their lives, to balance their life, to do sports and music and art and just get out there. And so that's what we've all done is we build these beautiful lives for our kids because we love them and it causes no problems at all. It doesn't. It doesn't cause
Yeah,
getting
right.
your having your whole life revolve around your kids. It doesn't cause any problems, does it, Jordan?
It's so funny nowadays. I'll talk to some people in their like late 20s, early 30s. They're maybe still single. They don't have kids. What'd you do this weekend? I'm like, well, I was an Uber driver for my children. Like, and they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, oh, you didn't even like go out and do stuff. And I'm like, I was bouncing from birthday party to soccer event. Then we had basketball and
Oh
then we had to go to church
gosh.
in the morning. And it was like boom, 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 boom. It's exhausting.
Oh, it doesn't cause any problems except for maybe a million of them. Oh my gosh. And so you might have never heard this term. I love to talk about things on this podcast, Jordan, that people never talk about. And I want to talk about the dangers of a kid-centric home. Ooh, have you ever heard that term? What comes up for you, my man, when you hear that term, a kid-centric home? What do you think of?
I haven't heard that term a lot, honestly. But I mean, it basically I guess could be many of us listening to this. That's the way we should categorize ourselves because we do everything for our
Mm.
kids. I mean, I shouldn't admit this, but I'm going to. It's dinner time. I don't make just one meal. I make like four
Mm-hmm.
separate meals. I make a meal for me and my wife. I
Oh,
make a
yeah.
meal for
Good
my son. I
example.
make a separate meal for my daughter. And I make another type of meal for my 4 year old. And the reality is, I should not be doing that. That is not the best parenting thing because
Interesting.
it's making more work for me. But that's where I'm at right now. And so I'm a kid centric dad in a kid centric home, unfortunately.
Oh, Well, I want to talk about something and be helpful on an important topic that I think we're all struggling with. How do we create these loving, connected homes where we prioritize our kids' connection, their mental health, their physical health, their activities, their social life, yet without becoming a kid-centric home? Because let me tell you right now, from listening to you for 24 years and reading the research on this, a kid-centric home is bad, very bad, very tempting, very, very dangerous. I can't tell you if you're at a kid-centric home or not, but there are some signs that I've seen that I want to tell you about to help you identify, hey, maybe am I out of balance? And if you are out of balance, I'll give you some signs and I'll give you some action steps on what to do so we can move our homes into a place of, like, we're not having the whole world revolve around the kids, right? And is that
That's
what we
good.
want to be doing, Jordan? Have our whole lives, our whole marriages, our whole mental health, everything around these kids?
No, I mean it's tough because you gotta take care of number one, right? And we or
Mm.
you are the number one. If you can't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of your kids? You used this analogy
Oh.
before. You're on the
Mhm.
plane, it's going down. You put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on your kids. But if you do the opposite, then eventually you're gonna deteriorate yourself so much that you're gonna go crazy.
Gosh, you know what? One of my favorite questions to ask people, like in social settings, I do it all the time. I ask children this question, teenagers, I ask adults this. I just like asking people this question. I'm like, so what are your hobbies? What do you do for fun? I love asking people that question because I'm not just a conversational breaker. People like talking about themselves, but it's kind of weird and kind of sad for me, just kind of being honest, at how many parents they do not know how to answer that question, man. They freeze
It's
up.
weird to me too. They don't have a hobby. Like they don't do anything, you know? They're like, "Oh, I watch
Mhm.
TV," or I guess, if you're baking or you're cooking, that's kind of cool, but I want everybody to have a passion for themselves too. But
First
sometimes
of all,
we don't even think
nobody.
about what we're
No.
interested in because we're too busy figuring out what our kids are interested in.
I say this kind of be trying to be funny, but also trying to be serious and helpful. Your life might suck if you don't know how to answer that question. Your might
Yeah.
life suck, and you might suck at adulting if you don't know how to answer. I'll tell you right now, nobody answers the question with "I enjoy being on screens or watching TV." Nobody says that.
Yeah.
I've got years and years of asking people that question. Nobody said that. Some teenagers will say that. I like playing video games or watching TV, but adults still don't say that. And I'll let you figure out the reasons why. But that's just really sad. What oftentimes people say is, "Oh, I don't know. I just, I drive the kids around to their hobbies and just like doing what the kids want to do." And let's talk about signs that I've seen about parents that are in a kid-centric home. Do you know anybody who friends or people in your kind of community that you're able to observe, and we're not going to mention their names, but you think they might like have a kid-centric home where their whole life just revolves around the kids' happiness and their what they want in their moment, and you're kind of like able to evaluate them. Man, it looks a little weird over
Well, I don't know if it looks weird. I feel bad, okay? And I'm gonna
there.
throw this
Oh.
out there, and I know I'm
Mm.
gonna maybe offend a lot of people, but I gotta say it. Because if your kids are in baseball, baseball is like
Hmm.
a year-round sport. Every time I'm trying to get together with some family friends, I'm like, hey, can you hang out this weekend? Can't. Kids
Mm.
baseball. What about next weekend?
Mm.
Can't. Kids baseball tournament. So that
Mm.
sport alone is
Mm-hmm.
so hard on the family because it's like you are at a baseball field every single freaking weekend for the
Yeah.
kids. And
Yeah.
ultimately, it could be a great thing down the road. I get it, but I'm just glad my kids don't play baseball because that would be stressful. If I'm not able to do anything for myself or as a family, I'm always doing something that would drive me crazy. There is another situation, and I feel for everybody with babies, right? These
Mm.
schedules that
Yeah.
we have for our kids, whether it's feeding or nap time, when I invite people to go do
Yeah.
something like can't, it'll mess with their sleep schedule. Can't do this because we got to be home by 4 o'clock every evening
Mm-hmm.
because we got to make sure we do dinner and bath time routine. Then it's like, I get bummed
Yeah.
out because I'm like, man, you can't do anything at all throughout the day because you're just revolving your life around this kid. Even though I get it, you're
Yeah.
trying to get the best sleep for that kid, maybe it brings you more sanity,
Yeah.
but it's hard from, a friend
Yeah.
perspective who wants to do things.
Yeah, man. I know. Here's what I've noticed is that people that are in a kid-centric home, they defend it. They have different ways of defending it. They think they they might like it. That's why they do it, but they just are usually kind of exhausted and they don't know they're even in it. And so let me just give you 5 signs that I've seen. There's a lot more than 5 signs. And Jordan, I'd love to get your take on these 5 signs. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Go for it.
All right. Sign number one is that you might be in a kid-centered home is that your children really struggle with honoring your boundaries. They might barge into your bedroom. They barge into your phone conversations. It's like they want attention. They want you to come pick them up. They want you to come here. They want you to do this. And there's just such a lack of boundaries in the home. And the parents, they just like kind of drop everything or minimize other relationships or even minimize the marriage itself to kind of just be appeasing and reactive to their boundaryless kids.
Yeah, and obviously these boundaries take a long time to set up, so I get it. I've been working on my kids' boundaries for a while, and they still will, struggle with those, but they're working. And one of the things that drives me nuts is like, let's say I'm having an adult conversation, or like me and my wife are talking, and they'll just interrupt, mom, dad, excuse me, we're talking. Let us finish
Mm-hmm.
before we just
Mm-hmm.
distract ourselves
Mm-hmm.
from each other and go straight to you all the dang time.
Totally. We had a couple come over for the first time, and the kids were constantly interrupting their conversations, and the parents would just stop talking to us, and they would start talking to their children. And of
Yeah.
course, I'm like a parent coach, so I noticed like a ton of little things. But I'm like, dude, like, what's going on? Like, your children are very capable, even at a very young age, of like just waiting. There's a lot of tools that I can teach you, and they can teach their children to honor boundaries. Very important, don't you think?
Yeah, and you have to constantly be telling them and reminding them because they'll, oh, I forgot, I'm sorry. Or if I'm on a phone call, like, can't they always seem to want to interrupt during like
Yeah.
the time where they shouldn't be interrupting.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's like,
we were the same way. They're very needy beings, and they want what they want. I don't blame them. It's Burger King, and how we handle those boundaries. Here's sign number two. Sign number two is if you're at a kid-centric home, there is really a lack of date nights, a lack of couples getaways, or there's a lack of just a couple's alone time. Why? Well, because you're doing so much for the kids, and
mm-hmm,
then you are exhausted.
right. I think about that every Friday and Saturday night. I mean, those are the only nights you get if you're a Monday through Friday worker, right? Especially if you're going to bed
Mm,
early and waking up early.
yeah, yeah.
You get these 2 nights. One
Right.
time or one-on-one time with your spouse.
Think of it this way, everybody. You have time and you have money. You have the same amount of time as me. You have the same time. We all have the same amount of time as Elon Musk. I've been thinking about that recently because, like, how do these high achievers do what they do? Well, what they do is they're very mindful about their time. So you're choosing to spend your time and your emotional time on your kids, and
Right.
then you're choosing to spend maybe too much time on them. So then at the end of the day, you're exhausted and you just want to veg out on a screen, which means you're giving more time to your screen and you're giving more time to your hobbies or to your cleanliness or your kitchen, and you're not giving time to date nights, getaways, or for your spouse or partner. You're doing this. You're
Can we
right.
have maybe Elon on sometime, Sean? Let's just reach out to him because he's got how many companies? He has 6 kids. How is he spending all this time making sure
I
his
don't know
kids
if
are
he's.
satisfied?
I think he's a great businessman, but I don't know if he's a great dad or a great husband.
That's
I
why we need
don't
to have
think
him on.
he
Elon,
is.
you're welcome anytime.
I think you could probably learn a lot from this podcast. But you know what? You know what? You can find out what's important to you by looking at your calendar in your phone. Where
Yeah.
you kids spell time or kids spell love, Time. But you know what? How about this? How you are investing your time into your marriage, into your partnership, into your romance really matters because everybody has the time. Now, I don't
Right.
know. This might come as a surprise or even a disappointment to you. I might let you down, but Daniel and I, we don't do a lot of date nights, man, and we're not really good at date nights.
Why is that, Sean? Let's break Sean Donohue down. Why are you not
Yeah,
going on
man.
date nights?
So we don't do date nights for a few reasons. We still do them, but we like to go out to dinner together, and when we are
Yeah.
alone together, we do really well. But like we don't like some people they rock the date night. Like every Friday they're on a date night, or once a month they're on a date night. But we don't really know what to do after the date night. So we'll end up like
Yeah.
usually going to like Home Goods or like looking at home decor stuff because, she
That's
enjoys
your wife's
doing it.
passion.
And I just
Yeah.
enjoy being with her. So I'll hang out
Yeah.
and we'll just talk and we'll visit. But I'll tell you what we do. But what we don't do is date nights. How do you and your wife, Danny, how do you guys vibe with the date nights?
We love date nights. Just time alone is so priceless. Like we will, there'll be times when we'll look at the
Hmm.
calendar and we're like, we haven't been out on a date in 2 months. Should we set a babysitter? And I'm like, yes. And so we'll either
Yeah.
just go out to dinner. Maybe we'll go to a show. We've seen some comedy together. That's always fun. Try to do an activity. One time we went to Top Golf, right? It's that little area where you play golfing games at the driving range. It's so
Oh yeah,
fun.
we went
Yeah,
on a double
Top
date to
Golf is
Top Golf
it's
recently.
fun. Like if you do
Yeah.
an activity, it's always enjoyable. You know what I mean? Splatter
Yeah.
paint or you can even just go see a movie. That's sometimes fun. An adult, a movie that's
An
rated R or
adult
something that you
movie,
wouldn't take your kids
right?
to. You could have
Yeah.
drinks now at the theater and just hang out next to each
Yeah,
other.
man. Yeah. Yeah, what we do is we do couples getaways, man. That's our jam. So we'll go away. I try to do it. We try to do it once a quarter. Well, we'll go
Hmm.
away for 1 or even 2 nights, which would be 3 full days, no kids, and we can do that because her mom lives close by and she's great with the kids. She can come and live here, and I know that's a luxury not a lot of couples have. But when we get away, we just rock it. We get along, we laugh, we have
That's
fun,
great.
and it kind of like is like our jam because we're just very social. So on the weekends we're normally doing stuff not with other couples and stuff. But tell me some
Yeah.
more about what are you guys doing
Well,
to
I
really
want to I
invest in
want to
each
tell
other?
people too. It might sound weird to be like, I don't want to have to plug into my phone on the calendar for a date night. I want it to
Yeah,
happen naturally. I want
yeah,
us to just want to have to go out on a
yeah,
date with each other. And I'm going to
yeah,
say,
yeah.
yes, that's great. But the reality is, before you know it, you're going to blink and a year's going to go by and you're like, man, we didn't do a date in this
I
whole year.
know,
So you have to
I
schedule it,
know.
especially with how busy people get. Like I may have said this once before, but one time I had the opportunity to talk to Camilla Alves, which is Matthew McConaughey's wife. And I said, you
Oh,
guys are so busy. How do you have time for each other? Like,
oh,
you're doing all this other stuff. He's a movie star, who knows where. How do you focus
right.
on you and the kids? And she goes,
Ooh,
honestly, if we don't schedule it in the calendar, it will not happen. So we have to look at the calendar every 6 weeks or whatever it is. We plug in date night with each other. And I'm like, wow, that was a time when I didn't use the calendar. Now we do.
Jordan just gave us sign three that you are in a concentric home. You do not calendar. But I'll tell you right now, you look at your calendar right now and you have stuff on there for your kids, don't you? You do.
Oh, yeah. It's all day, every day.
Right. So we all do. So what we need to do is then we need to calendar things for each other. Right. So like you guys went to Tim Allen recently, a comedy show.
Yeah.
Here's what Danielle and I do. We've been going to the gym together. Now I'm not like really crazy about yoga. Sometimes it annoys me because like the way the yogis talk, it's like they're just like it just say some stupid stuff like you are a star, you're a shining star and let your light out. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to freaking do some stretches with my hot wife right now and look at her butt once in a while and have some alone time. And then afterwards, we go walk in Costco together. That's our routine where we go to Whole Foods and we hang out and we talk.
Yeah.
And that's a Monday night for us. And that's like, that's meaningful for us where it's just us two or maybe the 7-year old. And we're just having a date night doing the freaking yoga. And it's like,
It's
and we
beautiful.
plan for that, but it's
That's
on our
great.
calendar. We're talking
Yeah.
about it, and it's not my favorite thing, but that's okay because I like being with her, and I get the more time I spend with her, the more she feels loved, the more she feels connected, the more I get to enjoy her, and then the more things I get, which is more like sexual intimacy. I get more kindness from her. I get more gentleness. I get more teamwork, and I get her supporting things that I like to do. Win-win. You know what I mean?
And when I hear you saying a lot of us, we have to challenge ourselves, is we are reactive like livers. We kind of live life in a reactive
So
method
good.
mode, and we need to be proactive. We need to be forward thinkers, and we actually have to like think ahead. Like on your drive to work, instead of listening to the podcast or listening to the radio or listening to your
Mm-hmm.
book on tape or whatever it is you're doing during your commute, just sit in quiet for a second and start
Oh
thinking about
yeah.
like what you want your next trip to be as a family, or what you want your
Yeah.
next getaway to be, or what you want your next date night to be. And that way you can constantly be thinking and then therefore schedule it, and then you'll be a doer.
Put your money where your mouth is, people. We spend money and we spend time on things that are important to us. And I care about you. I care about your family and your marriage and your romance. So put it in your calendar. Put it in your calendar. So the next time someone asks you, what do you do for fun? You'll be able to say, you'll be able to answer that question, right? I like
Yeah.
to go to Costco with my wife. I like to go to yoga and look at her butt.
Right.
I like to go to Tim Allen concerts. I like to just you'll have an answer for these things. Here's number 4. You might be in a kid-centric home is lack of chores, dude. Lack of
Ooh.
chores. You know, one of
Yeah,
the
that's the whole
longest
reason we had
research
kids, ladies and gentlemen, is so that they could do the work for us. Okay, let's
one of the
go. Get with the program.
longest research projects ever done on childhood and child successes was done by Harvard, and it was all related to chores. And they've done a lot of speaking on this. Is that they found that if you're one of the best ways to get your kids to be healthy, successful adults is to give them daily chores. You might be in a kid-centric home if you are doing so many chores for your kids. 2, you have a butler or a housekeeper and does all the chores, or getting your kids to do the chores is so exhausting, it's so annoying. You just said, oh, it's just easier if I do it
I know.
myself.
And you know what? That's where spouses come in too, because I will see things that my wife does that I'm not okay with, and I'm having to harp or
Mm,
not like retrain or recalibrate. I can use that
mm,
term in terms of like, hey, I see that you're struggling and doing all the laundry and it is piling up. And of course I want to help, but I have an OCD wife and that's a different story. But what I'm trying to do is like, listen,
yeah,
you
me
don't
too.
have to like put all this weight on you. They are old enough now. I just want you to take it out of the dryer and I want you to
Yeah,
throw it in their
buddy.
bedroom. And every time they get home from
Yes.
school, you're going straight to your bedroom and putting your clothes away because they got to start doing more. And so I can
It's
see that
so
because
good
I'm
for them.
stepping away from what the spouse
Yeah.
sees.
Yeah, buddy. It's good for them that they're doing that. It's good to step in to that tension, right? Can I tell you the number one sign that I see in a kid-centric home is something we've alluded to, and we've actually talked about it a lot in this podcast, which just want to highlight the podcast, Jordan. I just looked at my social media followers, man, and I have over 1 million social media followers now. How cool is that?
Dang,
A
that's
million
legit, man.
from Facebook to TikTok to Instagram. It's just such an honor to be in your life. And also just so thankful for you listening to this because Jordan, this podcast is continuously listed in the top 10 of all parenting podcasts in the world and continuously listed in the top 25 on Apple Podcasts under their category kids and family. We're doing it, man. We have
That's
a top
amazing.
25 podcast. Isn't this
It's amazing.
incredible?
Incredible.
So
Incredible.
So I just want to say thank you for those of you who are listening to this, and please do me a favor if you do enjoy this. Please leave us a review on Google. I'm sorry, on Apple Podcasts. It's just a great way to spread the word. It helps us to hear from you. Please leave me a little note. Leave Jordan and I a little note about what you like about it. It would really mean a lot to us to get a review from you. But here it is, guys. This is something. If there's anything you're going to hear today, I want to. That's really going to help you. I want to talk about your mind. Number one sign, you are in a kid-centric home, and there's so many dangers to that, is that you say to yourself, we've got to put the kids first.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
good on paper.
it
Sounds
sounds
like a
great.
nice Instagram post. Sounds like a nice, loving, wise thing to say. But dude, tell me your thoughts on that. We got to put the
I
kids
remember
first.
I don't know how old I was, but I remember one time someone asked me a question and they said, "Who should you love more?"
Hmm.
Um, you know how someone
Hmm.
asks, "Which kid do you love the most?" or whatever, and you
Yeah.
can kind of
Yeah.
play around with that. No,
Yeah,
none of them.
dude.
I love them all the same. But someone said,
Yeah.
"Should you love your kids or your spouse more?" And I immediately was like, "Oh, your
Hmm.
kids. They're yours. You're taking care of them." And they're like, "No, you need to
Yeah.
love your spouse more." And I don't mean that as in
Yes.
like true love, but maybe it's to care for more, to nurture more, to make sure it's healthy more than the kids'
Hmm.
relationship. And the reason for that is because the main thing that created all this could fall apart. And if that falls
Yes.
apart, I've seen it just a handful of times in my own life. Parents of kids I went to school with were together
Yep.
for decades. And
Yep.
when all the kids turned 18 plus, they got divorced
Yes, they
like
did.
immediately. And I was like, they've
So
been together
common.
for so long. Why is that
So
happening?
sad.
It's sad.
It's so sad. So we say this because we think it's right, but it's not right. It's not right. We got to put the kids first is not right. Going back to that day you got married, you said vows, for better or worse. You make vows to your spouse to love them, to prioritize them. And the reason why you say you put the kids first is because you're trying to create a loving home. But the reality is that if you have a kid-centric home, you have a strong chance that your marriage is going to end in divorce. Why? Because one of the people in that marriage is going to feel neglected, is going to feel like they were not fully loved. They did not get their love languages. They did not get cared for because you were putting the kids first. And then you know what's going to happen when you get divorced? If you get that, it really is going to hurt the kids, which is
Yeah.
ironic because you did all this for the kids in the first
Right.
place.
And let's be smart parents. Like, I know you don't want to go to all the dang birthday parties over the weekend. Maybe you'd rather go golfing with your buddies or, go on a brunch date with your girlfriends, for all you ladies out there. But like, there is a balance, okay? We do make sacrifices for our kids. Sometimes we do need to put them first. Like,
Mm,
okay, I'm going to just sit back here while they go to this tea party and hang out. But it's like, generally speaking, we have to remember to like put ourselves into a situation that is going to keep us healthy as well. Like I
yes.
remember we went, where did we go? It was camping or fishing or
Hmm.
something that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Something I wanted to do. Or maybe there was
Okay.
one thing my
Yeah.
wife wanted to
Yeah.
do. Maybe it was a movie she wanted to see.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. We wanted to go see a
Hmm.
movie. And it was this, and both kids were like, no, we
Yeah.
don't want to go see it. And it was a kid movie, but my wife really wanted to
Yeah.
see it. And she goes, this isn't about you. This is about
Yeah.
me wanting to go see this movie with my
Yes.
family. And so we don't always do things that we want to do, but we will do them for each other. And anyway, we had a great time.
What your wife's doing there is just wise emotion coaching. She's letting your kids know, hey guys, big shocker, you're not infants anymore.
All
Our
right.
world does not revolve around you anymore. We have feelings too, and the top priority in this family is actually mom and dad's. Now, in the beginning, it's going to take your kids a little time to process that. And if that's new for them, if you have a family meeting and they're 13, they'll be like, "What are you talking about?
Right.
We're
Right.
the kids. My gymnastics is number one. Everybody knows
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's going to take them a little second to realize, but we're pointing in the direction of health right now, of prioritizing the marriage overall. Because if that foundation crumbles, if that arguing starts, well, then it's going to affect the whole group.
You know what we should do? I want to create a movie right now. Okay. We've got modern
Cancel.
kids in
Yeah.
the Oregon Trail time frame. All right.
Ooh.
On a
Oh,
wagon,
oh,
traveling across the country,
dude,
hey kids,
moping. They're
it's
all moping.
moping. Hey, where's the
Oh,
iPad? And you're like, dude, you got to
gosh.
get the rifle. We got to go hunting right now and provide for dinner. It's like, that
Okay.
would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
hilarious.
What does that have to do with today's episode, though? I missed the point. I like
Because
the
what I was
story.
trying to say is like the story is, let's just say you're back in the day on the Oregon
Okay.
Trail or wherever you are, and the kids were to be like, I don't want to have to get in the buggy. I'm tired. I'm sore. I'm gonna stay here. Like you will be left in the
Yeah.
dirt.
Yeah.
It's like you better stay up with us or else you're gonna die. You know what
Ooh,
I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is like sometimes just because you don't want to do
dude,
something,
I
if you're
love.
a
I
kid,
get
you
it.
got to do it. Yeah.
Coaching them at a young age that they are a member of the crew and the family unit is the top priority. It reminds me of 2 years ago was the last year we went shopping for a Christmas tree. We went to this Christmas tree farm. We didn't find a tree. We went to another farm, and my wife couldn't find the perfect tree. So no big deal. We only spent 4 hours looking at numerous farms and until we found a tree. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. But so
Okay.
you wonder, how did we make this happen? Well, because we were doing a good job talking to the kids. Hey, this is really important to mom. This is mom's time. And let's just have fun with this. Let's be patient with mom. It's not about you. And my kids rocked it, including my 5-year-old at the time. It makes me wonder why. Why did the whole family have a good attitude over something that was so physically annoying? Well, because of the mind, they
Yeah.
realized this is not about me. And that's the
Right.
problem with year-round sports is that while you might be thinking it's for the kids, it's good for the kids, some of the most selfish high school kids I've ever met in my life, some of the biggest jerks are the year-round athletes.
They always have something to do. It's I don't know. We talk about this a lot. It's good to be bored. It's good to have nothing, and have
Mm-hmm.
a day where you do
Mm-hmm.
nothing, no TV, no nothing, and have them figure something out for themselves. A kid who's into sports all day, every day for an entire year, they have
Mm-hmm.
something thrown at them all the time. They're never out there making decisions for themselves.
They think their whole world revolves around, their cheerleading
Yeah.
or their year-round soccer, or their mom's got to drive them here, their mind there. And the reason they think that way is because how the parents have talked to them about soccer. Soccer's your job. And the
Right.
parents probably get enjoyment of why they do these, tournaments or the sleepaways, because the parents find joy in the community of the sports. We're not trying to bash on that. That's a great thing. But we had a great episode last week with Coach Rick Steen, or a couple weeks ago, that'll give you some great tips for that. So Jordan, I got 3 action steps for parents to how to not have a kid-centric home, but to have a healthy, family-centered home with 2 healthy adults living together in a feeling loved and prioritized in a marriage. You ready for this?
Okay.
Number 1 tip is to keep your vows.
For better or for worse.
Jordan, do
For
you keep your
richer or
vows?
poorer.
Do you keep your marriage vows?
I mean, I think so. I need to go back. But yeah, I mean, we love each other till death do us part.
You think you keep your marriage
Kidding.
vows? What kind of weak sauce answer is
I'm
that?
pretty good at yeah. We keep our vows. I haven't thought about my vows till you just brought it up.
Well,
so.
guess what? I have a surprise for you. I'm holding your marriage vows in my hand right now.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Are you?
Yeah, dude. I officiated Jordan Higley's wedding
that's
to
hilarious.
Danny Loburn on September 13, 2009. And I have your vows right in front of me.
Dude, I can't believe you still have those.
Dude, I love you, man.
Great.
And if I officiate someone's wedding, I take it seriously, my dog. Can I tell you some of the highlights from the ceremony?
Yes, please do.
All right, here's a couple lines. I'll paraphrase. Here I am in beautiful San Diego, where Jordan and I are from. And here's a line. I learned on your bachelor party, Jordan, that you shared your first kiss on a campus life trip, a Baja Beach surf trip that we took you and Danny on your freshman year of high school. So I was their youth leader, and I was very mature, a 21-year-old, 22-year-old man taking a bunch of teenagers to Mexico for surf trips. Right?
That's right. Yeah, I didn't realize you learned about that on the bachelor party. The week
well, this story, you got married here since 2009, so we're talking 14 years ago. So
2009.
I was a bit surprised to learn this. This is me telling the whole group, right? You both know that kissing and other forms of PDA were not allowed on campus life trips. Which is not true, man. We're just a bunch of San Diego people. Everything's chill back there. I know this probably isn't the best time to bring it up, but I can't ignore rule breaking. I hate to say this, but I'm going to have to tell your parents about this and have a sit down when we get home.
Oh, that's so funny. That was so great. It was so personal.
All right, here's another highlight from the ceremony. All right. You were a budding young man at the time, and you were a weatherman on a television show in Central Washington called Keeper. So I said to you, Jordan, or as the people of KEPR television on Tri-Valley shows know you, Jordan Steele, that's his TV name. My prayer for you is much more than that you would know how to predict the weather and communicate partly sun with 25% chance of rain, but rather that you would be able to predict the condition of Danny's heart and know and where God is leading her. And you would be able to communicate words of life into her emotions, and in your marriage.
That's beautiful.
That's what
all written by Sean Donohue. And you know what? Now that you go back, I think I've done a pretty good job with doing that over our marriage. Not even having that memorized every day, but like that's our goal, right? Ultimately, that's what you want in a healthy marriage.
So here's what you said 14 years ago. These are the vows you said. Are you keeping your vows? Or are you living in a kid-centered home? Have your love for your 3 children, have they become your vow? Have they become your top priority, or you are not keeping your vows to your wife? Jordan, repeat after me. Don't repeat this. I'm going to just read it. I, Jordan, take you, Danielle, to be my lifelong wife. And I promise to you before God and these witnesses to be your loving and faithful husband in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live. So, Jordan, are you keeping your vows?
Yes.
That's a good answer.
I am.
Are you letting your love for your kids and your special needs child who has Down syndrome, have they hijacked your love for your wife? Are they getting too much of Jordan and Danny, where you are now committed to loving them, and you have forgotten your love and your commitment to your wife?
No. If anything, it's enhanced my love for my wife. But the important thing there is, did it take away my time from my wife? At times, yes. But I strive to not let it take too much of my time away from her,
Yeah, buddy.
which is ultimately
Yeah,
what we all should be shooting for.
yeah, buddy. I think that the challenge for us here. Ask me the same question. Am I keeping my vows to my wife? Ask me.
Sean Donohue, are you keeping your vows to your wife?
I have failed at times.
Yes.
I have never committed adultery or gotten close to that. I never will, for sure. But I have not spoken to my wife with selflessness and selfless love. I have abused alcohol. I have snapped at her. I have been mean. I have been selfish. I have abused social media. I have not been a good partner with her over 19 years. I've um, I've struggled to keep my vows. But I would like to say to you, I think she would agree. I have kept my vows. I've imperfect man, and I love her, and I have in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow. I have put her as my number one, my top priority, and I love her, and I can't wait to spend the last 50 years of my life with my wife, Danielle.
That's beautiful. And I mean, ultimately, isn't that the reason why in the beginning God created each other for both of us, right? So that we can help each other build. Because the reality is we're
Yeah,
broken.
man.
If we were doing this by ourselves, you would have been like that or 10 times worse. But the fact that you've had a partner to work with over these years, it just makes you so much better. Even though it's hard.
Dude, I love that. I love that. It's because my wife she's been God's instrument in molding me, challenging me, calling me out. I'm so thankful to have her as my helper, and that's what good spouses do for each other. We challenge each other. We bring out the worst and the best, right?
Right. So now everybody can think, am I keeping my vows? Oh man, I got to go back and plug in the wedding video and see what I said.
Yeah. I hope you like my little surprise, my dude.
That was great. That
I
was
think you
great.
like it. All right. Action step number 2 is something Jordan really hit on well and articulated well. Use your calendar. Use your calendar. Show up in your calendar. Live out the vows through your calendar, right? Tell me some things
Yeah.
you're looking forward to with you and your wife. It could be like, a date night, or it could be just walking into Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. You got anything
Oh
come to
man,
mind? What are you looking forward to?
we got a couples massage last weekend and it was
Ooh,
great. We
it
had this
was.
we had someone give us a couples massage as a birthday gift for my wife in
Ooh,
December and we had
okay,
not used it because we needed to
okay,
get a sitter. And I'm like, I
yeah.
want to go, and every time we got a sitter, we would do something else. We would have another date planned. But I'm like, I really want a dang massage.
How'd it
And I'm like,
go?
I'm
How'd
gonna
it
go get
go?
one by myself or we're gonna go together. So
Yeah,
anyway,
buddy.
we finally we went and we got the couples massage. We had a great time. I was sore for 2 days after that dang massage.
Dang, man. Like I don't know. Like I'm not really into massage. I don't like people touching me. Did you enjoy it? Like what
What?
was it
Oh,
like?
I love it. I think that's one of my love languages, the power of touch, man.
Ooh,
Massages are great. It relaxes me. This one was like deep tissue. It was like that lady jumped on my back, rode on top of me, dug her elbow into my back for friggin' 20 minutes. And it was like, holy
what?
smokes. It was like a movie. I was like,
Did
this
you
is
like it? Did
crazy.
it feel good, or is it
Oh, it
painful?
hurt. Oh, yeah, it hurt. But it was like pain that feels good.
Yeah.
It's like that pain that's like, this is good for you.
Right. Now, did you some couples, they probably do stupid stuff. They probably like watch a screen, or they put their earbuds in during a couple's outings. Like
Yeah, I don't do
something,
that.
did you guys talk before during the massage?
No, during
You
we
and your
just
wife? Did you
relaxed. We relaxed.
Yeah.
You get the music on. You're just right next to each other, so you're next to each other. And then after that, we went out to dinner and we talked about it, and we
Yeah.
had it was a great time.
You know what I
Coming
do in
up,
yoga
we've got
sometimes?
stuff on the calendar. We've already put stuff on the calendar for this fall and this winter. So you got to be proactive.
We're You know what I do in yoga sometimes? I'll sometimes reach out and I'll just hold her hand, like we're doing like one of those stretchies, you know what I mean, where I gotta
Oh,
like look like an
nice.
angel, snow
Yeah.
angel action or whatever.
Yeah.
I just hold her hand. It's just like a little way of saying, "Hey, I'm here. This is even though we're not talking, it's like we're here together. I love you."
Right.
I think it's really key too. Is like, something that Daniel and I have been really working on since we both do a lot of work on our phones. Is when we do drive together, we're doing a lot of talking about her not being on her phone when we drive together.
Yeah. Is that
Because
is that
if I'm driving
is,
around,
is she being responsive to that? Is that working?
she is. It's yeah. We're communicating about it because how many couples when you do drive with your spouse, somebody is still like they're not. They might physically be there, but
Right.
they're not really there.
Right. I've
I
had
think
that
it's
same
common,
discussion.
man.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it. Hey, this is the time to get this stuff done. Yeah, get it done so that when we get to our destination, we can focus on each other. So that's a good tip.
Yeah, but for me, like the destination, like driving, is time. You know what I mean? It's not just when we get there. It's like I just want her to experience that boredom, so we can just chit chat about life or
Yeah.
the clouds or how are we doing. You know what I mean? It's like those are like there's so much time. There's so much time. We all have so much time. We do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, action step number 3 is kind of edgy. Um, how do we ensure we're not in a kid-centric home? Well, number one is keep your vows. Remember your first love. Put your mind and set your mind as a top priority. Number two is use your calendar. And don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say no to stupid stuff that's going to hijack your top priority. You might need to say no to year-round sports. You might need to say no to that, kid's birthday party. You don't have to always do what your kids want you to do, right? You don't
Right.
have to. And number three is get a life. Get a freaking life. What do you think about? Before I explain what I mean, I think you know what I mean because I think
I
we
know
just
what you
think a
mean.
lot
No,
alike. What do I
you
mean,
got to
my
smack
dog?
us in
What
the
do I
face,
mean?
man. You got to wake us up.
No, you smack me
You got to
back.
challenge us. No, you're the
What does
coach,
that
man. You're
mean?
here to
Get a
like push
life.
us. Get a life, man. I
You
agree.
tell me.
If you
Just
don't have a
let it
life, if you
out.
don't have a hobby, like find a hobby. That's my thing. If I ask you, what do you do for free time? And you're
Smack
like,
me.
and
Smack
you
it.
can't figure it out, like get a hobby. I don't care what it is. Go knit some clothes. Go volunteer. Go
Yeah.
volunteer. You know what I mean? Go bold. Go take a freaking AK-47, go to the shooting range and start shooting and get into ballistics. Just do something.
Do something. How do you feel when you're hanging out with some dudes and you hear another man and you say, "What do you do for fun?" And he says, "I just work a lot. I don't really know." What do you
I've
think?
got
Just be
buddies like that
honest. Let
right
it
now.
out.
I feel bad. I,
I
I
know
tell
you do.
every time I say, listen, you got to take time for yourself. You'll work yourself to death. You'll wake up in 70 years and say,
Mm,
man, I got nothing to show for it. I just worked my whole life. You could work yourself into the grave for someone else's goal, especially if you're an employee. Like if you're a
yeah.
CEO or not a CEO, but if you are basically an entrepreneur and have created your own company and you're trying to build this thing from the ground up, I've seen a lot of people do that. I get it.
Yeah.
Your blood, sweat, and tears are in that thing. That's your baby. But you also have to remember
Yeah.
to take a step away and enjoy some free time too.
Yeah. Dude, get a life alone and get a life together. This is kind of a private story. It's kind of vulnerable. I don't know if I should share it, but I just want to be real. I really like making love with my wife, man. It's like I'm really into it. I really enjoy it.
Okay.
I know. It's like I know it's kind of hard, and I think I'm trying to honor privacy and boundaries, but
Oh, are you?
um, am I weird for saying that? Am I weird for saying that on air?
Are
No,
you
I'm not
weird for
weird. It's
saying
totally
that?
normal.
No, I mean, yeah,
And I cross the line. No.
yeah, okay.
So for me, like one of my love languages is I really enjoy like being affectionate with my wife, right?
Yeah.
So let me backtrack to like a time in my past. A time in my past. Daniel and I were doing a lot of fun things together. We were, taking people out on our boat. We were having parties. We were going out with friends. We were, hanging out together. We were being good parents. We were both doing our businesses. And um, I thought we were doing just fine, but we weren't. You with me?
You guys were
You with me?
too busy. You didn't focus enough on each other, or why? You just felt like you were drifting.
Well, I and well, and then the our intimacy life was not as going as well as I wanted it to go. You know,
Okay.
and we had some really hard conversations at this time about how she was feeling disconnected and not in the mood to
Okay.
be intimate and not
Okay.
feeling it, not having a sex drive. You with me so far?
I'm
Very
with you. Yeah,
should
I'm
This is a
completely
pretty
with you.
typical story, isn't it? This is not a
Yep.
weird atypical story, right?
Nope. A lot of people have gone through this.
And we had to have some hard conversations. And the conversations were like this. Sean, when we go to TJ Maxx or to Home Goods or to Marshalls, sometimes you're on your phone
Oh, you're
and we're not hanging
distracted.
out. Or
You're
Sean,
distracted.
you're waking up earlier to work, go to work earlier. Or Sean, you're going to bed a little earlier than you normally do. And I don't feel as connected to you as we normally do. So then you tell me, I don't think you need to be Dr. Phil to answer this question. Why is my sex life or my intimacy life not as fulfilling as I would like it to be?
Well, you're disconnected, so therefore the spouse is going to be disconnected. But my question is, what was your response to that? Were you trying to defend your actions?
Oh, for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Of course, that was my initial response. What do you mean, Danielle?
I'm doing this
I'm
for the
doing this.
family.
I'm getting
Right.
defensive. I'm doing this.
Right.
Everything's great, right?
Right.
That's what we
Right.
do. This is why we've got to really slow down and think like, is my mind off? Is my thinking off?
And this is another reason why I'm always, I tell people sometimes, I'm like, hey, don't be too proud for couples counseling, even if
Mm-hmm.
you think you're fine. I
Mm-hmm.
remember one of my pastors says, we go to couples counseling. And I'm like, why? You guys are great. He's like, so that we can get better
Yeah.
and we can make sure we stay great.
Yeah. Yep. We go to, we've been in,
Because what happens if you were in that? What happens if you didn't have that conversation and you lived the next 5 years living like that? You would have drifted away
drifted
completely.
away. And then we were able to admit a big blow up, something
Yeah.
bad happening,
Right.
or somebody saying, I'm out, I don't want to do this anymore. And the other person being shocked.
Yeah.
And you've got this. I read it once. I'm not going to quote it very well. I think it's Dr. Sue Johnson in her book, Hold Me Tight. It says something like this, marriage is this constant dance of disconnecting and then coming together to reconnect. It's this constant dance or this journey of disconnection and then coming together to reconnect. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. I always, and my analogy is we're wavelengths or a roller coaster and we're riding right next to
Mm-hmm.
each other and we're a wave. And sometimes one goes up, the other goes down, and we're trying to get it back together as close as possible.
And I think something that I can offer to be helpful in this, I think that just like parenting is extremely seasonal, for I think that marriage is very seasonal. Like even right now, like okay, one of my best buddies name's Alex Wozniak. They just had their first son. He's only 2 months old, right? Or a few months old. Their whole world should revolve around that kid and
Yeah.
all the naps. And so if they're struggling in their marriage or in their mental health, it'd be wise for an older person like me to say for them is just hold tight, hang in there. You won't be in the newborn stage forever, right?
Yes.
You won't be
It's a
in the newborn
season.
stage forever. You will
Right.
get through this. If you're in a
Right.
challenging teen years, some of the best things you can say to yourself is just hold tight. Hold
Yeah.
tight. We're not going to be in the teen years forever. And for me, I even go down to like summer and winter and fall. Like for me, my mental health struggles the most in the winter time because I'm just so cooped up in my house so much. It's really hard for me. I'd like to get out. But in
You
the
got to strap some
summertime, we're
skis
so
on you,
apt.
bro.
But then the opposite in the summertime. Daniel and I are so go, go, go in the
Yeah.
summertime. We're always
Yeah.
out of the house, always doing things. We don't connect sometimes as much as a couple during the summertime. Makes
Right.
sense, right?
That makes sense.
So this is why I've been, even this summer, I'm not going to have a repeat of some painful summers in the past. I'm being much more intentional to say, let's not let the fun and the sum of summer, really disconnect us.
All right, so we got to keep our vows. Okay, everyone go back, watch your wedding video. 2, use a calendar. All right, not just for the kids' events, but for your significant other. And 3, get a freaking life. Find a hobby. Go do something. It doesn't mean have to be a hobby together. Go find your own hobby. But each of you got to have a hobby. That's good. I like it.
Yeah. And then I think it's really important that, especially now, like, let me ask you a question as I tell you, what are some hobbies that you and your wife are doing together? Like what we're doing recently is, we found our vibe. We went to Napa Valley just like 3 weeks ago for a 2-night couples getaway. It was incredible. We go to yoga together. We go shopping together. We just sit and talk together. We don't have a perfect life or perfect marriage, but this is like what we do together, and then we support each other when we do our alone times.
Yeah.
How about you? How do you, as we wrap up our show and we'll do our attitude of gratitude next, what are some things that you guys do together and alone?
We go camping together,
Mm-hmm.
which I like, but we do it with the family. But we look forward to doing that together. When we plan trips for the
Yeah.
family, we do the planning together.
Yeah, buddy.
If we're lucky enough to get a couple nights off from the kids and go on a trip together, that's a bonus. But it's been a while since we've had that.
Yeah.
We like doing finances together. That's fun. It's kind of little a hobby that
Yeah.
we got
Oh, that's
into since we did
cool.
the Dave Ramsey course of
Yeah.
just like trying to figure out where we
Yeah.
want our money to go, what are our goals together. Let's plan for our future together. So that's kind of a couple of things we do.
Oh, here's my attitude of gratitude. I'll go first as we wrap up our show. I'm really thankful that in my 19th in my going into my 19th year of marriage with my wife Danielle, we've been through so many ups and downs, very hard seasons, horrible seasons, amazing seasons, but I feel like we've really have excelled now at really finding win-wins together, doing things, because for me it's very important to me to be spoke to with a lot of kindness. I like being spoken to with respect, and I like being spoken to in kind ways. It's also very important to me to have physical intimacy with my wife. These are really important to me. And what's really important to her is quality time, doing yoga together, just hanging out in Whole Foods together, just talking and being together. And we're very different, but we have a relationship built on selflessness and putting each other first. And I'm just so thankful that I have a wife that wants to do that hard work with me and has not given up on me. I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, loyal. Man, that's amazing. Ain't that the truth? I'm just so thankful for people out there who truly want to help couples succeed, whether that be
Mm,
you, whether that be this podcast, whether it be the counselors out there. But there are a lot of people who are rooting for you, even though you think maybe the world is out to get you and you feel isolated.
yeah,
It's like there are
yeah,
so many resources to make sure you guys stay bonded. And, I'm very thankful for everybody that has helped me along my way and my wife's way, because it has been times when our flow has been completely out of sync and we've had to come together. And so I'm very grateful that we've kind of, throughout the last decade plus of marriage, we've gotten on the same page and we are really flowing and jiving
yeah.
almost perfectly. And I'm
Oh,
just so
so
excited for the
nice.
next several decades ahead, because when you get to a level like this, it is so much fun.
Love makes the world. Love solves problems. So thank you for loving your children, everybody. Thank you for loving your spouse, your co-parent. Thank you for letting yourself be loved. And thank you for letting Jordan and I be a part of your life.